Hello everyone. So as you all know that we are running a very nice series of ex-AFSB's assessor, and today we have us Group Captain Yogendra Kumar Gupta, who was previously an interviewing officer at two big AFSBs, that is two AFSB Mysore and four AFSB Varanasi. A little bit about sir, which is nowhere little bit in terms of doing actions. So sir has served more than 30 years in Indian Air Force. Sir has got an extensive expertise in air operations, which includes 5,000 hours on transport aircraft flying. Sir has assessed more than 18,000 candidates in the screening part. Along with that, sir has taken 5,000 interviews so far in real AFSBs. Sir has also been a qualified assessor in lot of other branches, and sir has given an immense importance throughout in whole service experience regarding n number of things. So today we have Group Captain Yogendra Kumar Gupta sir on before all of you. So thank you so much sir for coming on board and for your valuable time as well sir.
At the outset, let me thank you first to give me an opportunity to appear on your channel. And good afternoon, candidates. I am really happy that now I get a chance to interact with you all for sharing my experiences of service.
Thank you so much sir.
Uh,
Sir, so before we start, sir, very one big simple question, which is like, sir, why Air Force when you joined in your time, sir? Because there were other career opportunities like Navy, Army, as well as various other forces. So, what motivated you to join Air Force?
okay, Pallab, let me admit you first. Like as a child, I never was interested in defense services. I always wanted to become a teacher because that is what the role model I saw in my school, and I always wrote that no this aspiration in terms of those essays in the school. Subsequently, when I got graduated in college, I wanted to become professor, but it so happened at some point of time I realized that no, it was a kind of a monotonous job. I was not seeing that balance of life between studies and some outdoor activities. So that is the time when I started scouting for a better option in terms of career. And then one of my friend who was very keen, motivated defense aspirant, I came across him. He forced me to think of this option, and then I applied. And we actually went together for the SSB at one AFSB Dehradun. And I do not know how the test went through because it was first was the pilot aptitude battery test as a screening test which I qualified, and subsequently 5 days we stayed in SSB, and at the end of the day, at the end of the week, my friend got recommended and I was rejected. This is the first time I realized there is something challenging here, because that friend of mine, we were equal in caliber, and he got selected. So I took it as a challenge that no, nothing else, I have to do this only. And then subsequently I cleared SSB thrice. Now when it comes to why Air Force, it was that one thing is my friend himself was interested in Air Force. Second, I got that no, I want to fly. So first SSB which I appeared for was for helicopters pilot course short service commission, where I got rejected. But that failure became a reason for me to succeed, where again I applied for the same helicopter pilot course. I got selected. Subsequently, I also got selected for ground duty. And when in fact my joining for helicopter pilots was there, I had another SSB from CDSE entry, Combined Defense Services entry. So I thought of becoming a fighter pilot, and that's how I cracked the third SSB. And I went for training to Begumpet, initially 6 months of training at Begumpet, and thereafter academy. In academy, I had little air sickness problem, so I had to change to navigation branch. And this navigation branch, I continued again. At least I enjoyed flying, though it was not a fighter pilot anymore, but I had a good time there, and it was really satisfying tenure flying. And in my pre-commissioning, I did relatively well. I stood first in my course in ground subjects and got CNC appreciation for that. And in June 1994, we got commissioned in navigation branch.
Yes, sir.
Thereafter, I was posted for a unit which had Avro aircraft, that is HS-748 aircraft, a British aircraft, which is used for transportation of troops and materials. And in fact, I was into transporting VIPs also. And major part of my flying was with respect to uh, aerial photography survey. So I have flown full length and breadth of country, either taking VIPs along or doing the aerial photographic survey. During this time, also I happened to be detailed for fighter controllers course. So it was basically a air defense stream where one controls the fighter aircraft for entering them into combat. So I did 2 tenures as a fighter controller. Again, in this course, I was just the topper of the course. And thereafter, I also did my instructor's course for navigation. So this course is called as the advanced navigation course or the qualified navigation instructor course, properly known as QNI. So I had a tenure of instructor in navigation training school, where I gave back whatever I had learned in last 10 years or so, and there I trained some of the best of the cadets who have been doing very well now. So that gives immense satisfaction. And as the luck could have it, there also I was the topper of my course. And thereafter, subsequently, I did little staff appointments in their headquarters alongside the Survey of India, where my experience of this aerial survey, which we used to do for mapping, so that was utilized by Survey of India. We worked together for updation of our maps, and some of the maps were revised. And after that, I was selected for assessor as an interviewing officer, and then I spent 2 tenures in AFSBs, and subsequently I was in a tri-service organization at Jaipur, basically licensing and representing Western Air Command for army jobs.
So,
And this is how my 30 years passed in short. But this journey had been absolutely, fine. Excellent time I had. It was a perfect balance between the professional activities and your personal activities. All through, you had a good balance of all the part of the life.
yes, sir. Very well explained and very well said, sir, about your career in general and, sir, the way you entered into the service in particular. Sir, one key point which I would like to highlight for the audience out here who are watching this session, that sir did aerial photography survey and which was eventually used for the survey of India, basically the mapping and all. Sir, so if we dig deep into this, sir, what exactly is this all about, sir? Aerial photography survey, and how exactly it is being done by helicopters, and is it similar to the ocean mapping which we do in Navy, sir?
Yeah, it is analogous to ocean mapping, of course, but there it is more of magnetic sensors and other change of magnetic field you are sensing there. But in case of photography for mapping, we used to use the cameras, optical cameras. So they were huge, big cameras, and they were fitted on the platform of Avro aircraft. It wasn't a helicopter, though photography is possible in helicopters also. And in fact, ARC, etc., they do it. But in our case, it was fitted on an Avro aircraft, and we used to fly in a particular fashion so that we capture the full territory in which we have to photograph. And these photography from when you do it on ground, it seems quite easy. You click a photograph and then you move on. Whereas when you are taking photographs from air, there are a lot of parameters which have to be catered for, because the aircraft, the platform is continuously moving. So it is likely to put the blur. So you have to do that. Secondly, the photographs are to be continuous. There cannot be a gap. So you have to be very particular to keep the aircraft on a designated line, which is done by map reading. So you are continuously engaged in map reading, leading, going feature by feature, like following some road, some pagdandi or whatever, some rivulet. So these were the things where you have to continuously read the ground and then keep clicking the photographs. And then these photographs used to be, plotted on the map.
Yes.
And then utilized by Survey of India to recreate maps or refine maps.
Yes, very nicely told, sir. That basically it's a continuous evolution process for the mapping of the area at ground, and through an aerial method, which sir highlighted with the Avro aircrafts. So yes, sir. Coming forward, taking forward the talk, sir. Sir, now you mentioned regarding the navigation part, sir. Like you were a qualified navigator and you also did an instructor course. So, sir, throw some highlights for the audience as well. Ki what exactly this branch consists of, and there are many candidates out here who are preparing for AFCAT, CDSC, Airforce, and there are many candidates who are going for Army and Navy. So, for them, like, what all things you would suggest for their preparation, and what exactly this branch is all about?
Okay, navigation, as it means in a layman terms, like whenever we go from one place to another, we follow a particular route. So we are navigating to that destination. So in air, there is no such route visible. So it is always a notional route where we draw one line from one point going to next point. So this straight line has to be followed, and this is a virtual straight line. So on ground, there would be a corresponding line. So you have to ensure that the aircraft maintains that line on ground, because there would be so many aircraft which would be flying in a particular area. So every aircraft has to be separated from other. So this line decides, like if you're maintaining on this line, then the controller can be sure that now there are no two aircraft which are on the same line at the same time, at the same height. So navigation is very, very important with respect to the safety as well as the efficiency of carrying out air operations, because you would like to go by the shortest means so that you save fuel and time.
Yes.
And secondly, you have to ensure that you are always out of danger zone. Various danger zones are marked for a particular area. So these routes are designed in such a manner that you keep your aircraft away from those danger zone. You keep your aircraft away from other aircraft, and also facilitate these ground controllers or the air traffic controllers to ensure safety of all aircraft. Now, this navigation classically used to be done by continuous map reading on the ground. So we used to see, okay, this is one town coming up, there is a road going out, and then you have to follow this particular path. But as the time has progressed, we have, technologically, we have become much better and better. So slowly and slowly, this classical map reading is no more practiced outside the military world. Now there are a lot of equipments which ensures that your aircraft maintains those lines through electronic equipment by virtual line based on the magnetic directions, which we call as radials. So now the aircraft fly on radials. For those radials, you don't need map reading. You have the equipment in aircraft and supporting equipment on ground. So you follow those directions based on this. Further evolution was with respect to the GPS, which is known to everyone these days.
Yes, sir.
So this GPS has ensured that your position information is available in the aircraft at all point of time. So you can continue your journey without much of problems. But navigation still remains important, that in military context, if you see, for civilian context, yes, you can use those radials, use various equipments available, and with those advanced technology, you don't have to put in so much of effort. But when it comes to military flying, you never know when war happens, these facilities would be available to you or not.
Yes.
So in such circumstances, probably one has to come back to those grassroots level where they have to probably utilize maps and continuous map reading. So that's how this art of navigation is still there, in especially in military domain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very well explained about navigation part, sir. Sir, out of curiosity, this question is coming and hitting my mind. Exactly, sir. There are many satellites, sir, which is launched by ISRO. And sir, how satellite and navigation, all these things goes on ground, sir. Since you were into this domain very in a detailed way. And so, sir, throw some highlights in this aspect also, like how satellites
Okay.
and all those. These days there is a space warfare going on. So how exactly this thing is being taken care by Air Force, sir?
Okay. So first thing is, as we talked about satellite, rather than the reference with respect to the GPS and all, I'll just first tell you the satellite was being used, rather the celestial organs were being used for navigation before also, like position of moon, stars were used to fix your position on ground. So what we used to do is, like, you will take one direction from one star, another direction from another star, and where these two lines meet, that would be your probable position. Okay, so this was basically in two directions. You take those lines, which we call as position lines. Means, if let's say if I am looking at Qutub Minar standing at one position, okay, so a direct straight line between me and Qutub Minar would be a position line where I could be anywhere. Now this anywhere is changed by there is another position line from some other reference. Like I'll say, okay, from Qutub Minar I am on southern line or a direction which is south of Qutub Minar. So I can be anywhere on that southern line, right? And then if I say I am from Lotus Temple, I am on a easterly line. So I can be on any position on this easterly line from which is originating from Lotus Temple. But there would be a point where if these two lines meet, that
Yes.
becomes my position. So
Yes.
this concept was used in global positioning system or GPS also. What there happens is, there are two information. One is your range, second is your time. So those satellites, they keep transmitting certain frequencies which are received by the receiver on ground, which is the GPS receiver, which we have even in phones these days. There, based on the time, your range is calculated.
Yes.
Range from that particular satellite is calculated. Now, if you have, let's say, 4 satellites in different directions, so you will get range from these 4 satellites, which are separated in directions. Now, in a layman's language, if you take a compass and create an arc of the range which is there from the satellite, these 4 arcs would be created from 4 satellites, and they are bound to meet at a particular point, and this point becomes your position.
Yes.
So this concept is being followed by electronic means, and there are many countries who have launched their own satellite. Even India has launched its own satellite by ISRO, and the concept is Gagan.
Yes.
And Russia also has its own. China also has its independent global positioning system. So there are so many available these days.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very well explained about navigation part, sir, and more importantly regarding the satellite, because this question somehow or the other comes into the aspirant's mind. And when we were into surveys, we were taking deep dive into sonar, which is basically the submarines navigation part. And sir has rightly pointed about the airspace, which is sir has got a detailed experience throughout last 30 years of experience, sir. So moving forward, since we are running little short of time, so sir, this part exactly regarding your joining from dreaming from teacher to joining Air Force, and eventually you clearing PAPT. Thereafter, you also were an instructor. You topped in your course, and n number of additional and too much of extra awards, sir. So, sir, what motivated you to be so consistent throughout the whole service? Because there are many candidates who feel that हम preparation में motivate नहीं हो पा रहे, सर ने इतना कुछ कर दिया. So, what exactly was your मूल mantra for this, sir? What made you so consistent throughout the service?
Okay, I frankly speaking, I did not change much for no, as if there was some change in motivation. It is just that earlier I was no, very sure that I will become teacher, but realizing that no balance has to be there, so I decided to join for Air Force. Once I came in Air Force, I was fully dedicated and I was sincere towards my efforts. And since my basics in terms of the concepts of my school and college in science, where in flying it was more of physics and maths. So since those were very very strong, it helped me all through in my flying career, because those concepts kept coming and I could utilize them very well. And probably that is the reason I performed well. Another aspect is like being very very sincere about my job, never taking it little that things will happen on its own. It never happens on its own. You have to put in effort. So that was probably a mantra which I can suggest to people also, that you have to act on things and do not take for it for granted that no things will happen.
Exactly.
So if you put in sincere efforts and you have a vision that you want to do is achieve certain targets, you will certainly be able to achieve it.
Yes, sir. To summarize your point of Mool Mantra, sir, you mentioned regarding basics should be very much strong. Basically, the one which you were studying throughout your academic year, which also includes your engineering days, that is physics, maths, and other thing, which eventually helped you in the service to not only excel but to also made you a qualified instructor. Thereafter, sir also mentioned regarding sincere effort, whatever you are doing, whatever you are pursuing. Basically, it is very well written and said in Srimad Bhagavad Gita as well. Nishkam karma, कर्म करो फल की चिंता ना करो, and that is very well pointed out by sir, and I am very much happy and privileged to bring sir today on behalf of whole next officers group. So sir, one last point to highlight for all the candidates who are joining aspiring for Air Force as a career, because there are many candidates who feel कि Air Force join करे या ना करे, तो उनके लिए आपका क्या कहना रहेगा सर?
See, for all the candidates, I had just one point. See, ultimately, what do you want in life? So there would be some people who would say they want money. Some people will say they want challenge. Some people will say there's no recognition. Some people will say respect. Some people will say personal combination of profession as well as personal life. All these things would be available in some kind of career outside also, but the balance would not be available. And defense services, and I would say in particular the Air Force, it provides combination of all of them. You have a lot of respect, you work on the latest technology, so that gives you satisfaction, as well as you have the challenges. Also it gives you good amount of money, good amount of respect in the society, and you are always satisfied, that your integrity, excellence, everything is being recognized and then your family is also taken care of. So it is the best balance. So one should think of this career as one of the choices of the option.
Yes, sir. So wonderfully explained that Air Force is more of a career, as it not only looks to your life in general, but your family life and also your extended family who basically are aspiring and eventually they get a good life, and eventually Desh ki seva is always at trying. Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful and enriching talks of your service life, which started from your dream to become a teacher and eventually now, sir, this dream and the instructor part, and now you're guiding candidates out here for SSB is coming up true after joining the mighty forces. Eventually, sir also qualified PABT, which we will cover it in the next part of the talks. Also, sir highlighted about his 3 selections and eventually joining through CDSC entry for Air Force. And eventually, sir did marvelous things throughout the service life and also covered about navigation, satellite systems, and n number of things. So thank you so much, sir, for enlightening all the audience out here and enlightening me in general, sir. So thank you so much, sir.
It was pleasure, and the dream of teacher is still being pursued, whether it is to as an instructor in a navigation training school, or teaching my own junior officers in squadrons, and even now when I teach or guide people to grow their personality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.